All right, we're with Emily Sisson. I think the better runner you are, the less introduction you need, but she's the number one seed at the Olympic marathon trials, the American record holder with her 2:18:29 last year at the Chicago Marathon. She's a 2020 Olympian in 10,000 meters. She's got PBs on the track of 14:53, 30:49, and hopefully on Saturday she'll make her first Olympic team in the marathon. Emily, thanks for joining us.
Oh, of course, thanks for having me.
What we're count days here, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 4 days away from the trials. What are your thoughts?
I think I'm trying not to think too much about the race right now. I'm just trying to relax and kind of stay calm before the storm. But yeah, I've been looking at the weather a bit, and it looks like we're actually going to be like somewhat lucky for Orlando standards. So haven't really been thinking about the race too much, just checking the weather here and there.
Checked yesterday, it would have said 70 degrees. Now it's saying high of 75. Like, you're fine with that?
I actually didn't see the 75. I saw the humidity's low, so that's good. I didn't check it today, actually, but I had been checking it once a day probably. So, the humidity here can be really bad some days, and then some days it's not that bad at all. But yeah, I don't know. It'll be on the warm side, but compared to what we had a few days ago, which was like 82 and like a 70 dew point, it won't be that. So I guess whatever. It'll be what it'll be.
Yeah, I heard the dew point looks really good. So I think as a runner, that's a number one thing, right?
Yeah, that makes a big difference. Yeah.
We know from the 2021 trials on the track, you can run well in the heat. Is it different for the marathon though? Have you done things in particular to prepare for this?
I've done a little bit more. Ray thinks it's not too different. He thinks, like, when I'm fit, he thinks I'm naturally pretty good in the heat. But I thought we should do some things to prepare for it, just because, one, it's a marathon. I'm just out there so much longer. And two, it's in the winter. So usually I've never heat trained before. So usually I just train in warm places, Phoenix or Rhode Island in the summer. And then, I just don't really think twice about it on race day. But because it's a marathon in February, I decided to put a little bit more thought into it this time. But we didn't do anything crazy or over the top, just a little bit of stuff here and there to help, I guess, adapt and get used to it.
Did you guys do anything besides training? And, you're in Phoenix, but then you went to Orlando, obviously. But is there anything else you did besides that?
We did a bit more. I didn't find Phoenix that warm. The last week we were in Phoenix, it was actually pretty cold. But what I was advised to do was to do most of my workouts, at whatever the best time of day would be, just to do them then. But for easy runs, maybe sleep in a bit and do them later in the day when it was warmer out, in the heat of the day. And maybe, like, when I got out here on the days it wasn't too hot, I'd wear like a windbreaker or something, like a loose layer on top, just to get like a little bit of a sweat going. We practiced training the gut a bit on long runs. So I'd practice taking a little bit more fluid, because every marathon I've done has been like perfect marathon weather. So I didn't really think that much about it. But on my long runs this time, I practiced just drinking a bit more. And then when we got here, I did some long runs, or a long run and some workouts in the humidity. But then, the other days I just slept in and ran later and maybe just wore an extra layer. And I'm forgetting something else we did. But I didn't do sauna. That's the one thing that I didn't try. That sounds like it could be kind of interesting, but did the other stuff that I was advised to do.
I never really heard of the sauna thing until we talked to Clayton Young and Connor Mance. And they swear by it, but I think in Utah you don't have many other options.
Yeah, if you're training somewhere like Utah, I'd see why you'd really want to use it. But it has a lot of health benefits, it sounds like. So I kind of want to someday maybe just try it out, even if I'm not training for hot marathon, just to see if I like it.
Apart from the weather, how's the buildup gone? Are you confident, ready to go?
I feel fit and I feel healthy. So those are, with a marathon, that's not everything, but those are two big parts of it. So I'm happy with that. I'm happy with how training went. And I'm healthy. That's huge, to stand on a starting line of a marathon healthy. So all of that I feel like went well. Couldn't have asked for a better build in that respect.
And Jonathan Galt of Letchman talked to Ray Tracy, your coach. He said things had gone well. And you did a 30:52 time trial on the roads?
I thought that went pretty well. I did like a 10K time trial in Arizona. I didn't have any male runner pacemakers, but my husband was on a bike, so he was able to bike ahead of me. And I mean, time trials, they're not the same as races. So I didn't think of it. I don't know. I thought it was more, I was happy that I was able to push myself that hard on my own. But like I chose the time of day, I chose the course. So it was actually kind of cold that morning in Phoenix. So I was like, let's go a little bit later. But I didn't have competition. So I was happy that like when I was just out on my own, I could, just get my legs turning over.
I mean, does this settle it? Are the roads faster than the track? Your track PB is 30:49.
No, I think I could have run faster on the track. I actually ran my PB in a pair of flats on the track. So I think if I like put on a pair of spikes and like properly trained for it, I think I could have gone down faster. I just didn't think that was the one thing I feel like I left on the track when I moved to the roads. I thought I could have got some PRs done a little bit lower, but I just really wanted to commit to the marathon, and the track, I love it, but I do find it beats me up a bit. So I don't know. Yeah, I think the track I could have run faster on.
And the marathon, this is your fifth marathon, right?
Yeah,
Is that right? Debut in London,
I think so.
the trials of like first one, and then Chicago twice.
Yeah, so fifth.
So they've all gone relatively well. I mean, the last Chicago wasn't as good as the first, but what Ray told John was you got a stitch. That was a good experience for you to have. So I guess maybe talk about this last year, Chicago.
This last year, Chicago, I felt good about my fitness going into it. The only thing I was a little unsure about was we had just such good weather in Rhode Island that summer. So all my workouts were faster, but I expected them to be faster because we had a milder summer. But yeah, coming out of Chicago this past fall, the one thing I wanted to pay attention to going into the marathon, Olympic trials marathon buildup. Sorry, Brady's calling me right now. Give him a call back. The one thing I wanted to pay attention to after Chicago this past fall was just to make sure like I was moving well. I wanted to just kind of pay a bit more attention to how I was moving, if anything looked off, or if like I had any weaknesses I needed to work on. I just don't want something to break down again. And over 26.2 miles, if you have anything off, something can break down. So I was actually glad I did Chicago, just to be aware that there was something we needed to look for. And so yeah, I paid more attention to that, paid more attention to my form, this buildup, and just, yeah, to make sure I looked like I was moving well.
So what was the issue with body?
With my body?
You said movement? Like, you mean how you're
Yeah, I felt like, sorry, I feel like that's probably a bit big. We found some videos from Chicago early on in the race. Originally, I only saw videos from like after mile 22, which I was like hurting with the side stitch pretty bad then. So I didn't look very good then, of course. But we found some videos early on in Chicago, and I just looked a little less fluid this past fall than I did in my 2022 Chicago. So, and I just looked a little bit more it didn't look terrible. It was really subtle. Like there was a little bit more movement in my upper body. So yeah, we try to like stay on top of that a bit more this time, just to make sure nothing like a side stitch or anything else breaks down again.
how do you work on movement?
So I see John Ball. He's my chiropractor. So you probably heard of him. I know Sarah Hall talks about him a lot. So the last few years, actually, ever since the 2020 Atlanta trials, I've really tried to focus on my form and just being as strong as I can to handle the marathon and just the distances I'm racing.
Yeah, John's great. He used to be the young chiropractor because he's about my age, and now he's probably in his 50s. So, the training itself, though, how would you compare your fitness now, say before Chicago last year, or Chicago 2022?
Everything's been better. All the long runs, all the tempos, and actually my like long interval workouts, those have actually been better than they've been before. So yeah, the workouts like on paper, like the times they're all better. So I think like I get confidence from that, I guess, but also just I'm feeling good and I'm feeling strong. So that's yeah. So that's the training's been good.
And do you worry? Think analyzing the other women in the when you're talking about male pacers, I talked to Betsy China yesterday, who's saying on one run, she had 12 male pacers in Kenya. I mean, do you worry what other people are doing at all, or is it just more focused on yourself?
It's more focused on myself, and it's not that I don't worry about my competitors. It's not that I don't think about them, but I just feel like the marathon's different than like a half marathon or a 10K. When I go into those races, I'm just trying to be as fit as I can and try to be fitter than my other competitors. But in the marathon, like you are racing your other competitors, but like we were talking about the last few minutes, you're also racing the marathon itself. So it doesn't matter what your competitors are doing if like I have an injury I'm struggling with, or if my fitness isn't there, or if I have something that's going to break down over the course of the marathon. So that's why with the marathon, I really do just focus more on what I'm doing because it just doesn't matter. I need to be prepared to race my competitors and be prepared to run a good hard marathon.
It sounds like you are. Does it give you made the Olympic team in 2021, 2020, whatever you wanna call it. Does that make this trials easier for you, or, what would it mean to make the Olympic marathon team for you?
Thought it would maybe make it like less make there be less pressure, I guess, having made a team in the past. But I want to make this team really badly. I for a few reasons. I'm really motivated to be back at the Olympics. I'd like to have another like Olympic experience. I was so thankful they happened in 2021, but it was definitely a different Olympic experience than Olympics prior. So I'd love to get back there. I'd love to. I just love to compete and try to do better than I did before. I was pretty injured in Tokyo, and that took up so much of my time when I was there. So I just like to be back there and focused on racing and competing, and not focused on keeping my body together. So yeah, I'd love to be back. I think the Olympics, it means everything because it's what we grew up watching, like as kids, watching the Olympics, watching even if it's not the sport like I ended up doing. I watched gymnastics with my mom when I was like however old. I don't even remember, just really young. You just grow up like I don't know, being an Olympian just is like the biggest dream. So yeah, it would mean so much to be back there.
Yeah, did you get to do any of the ceremonies? I can't remember what they had in Tokyo.
No, I don't know if they had an opening ceremonies that you could go to. There were closing ceremonies. I didn't go to those. I don't know why actually. I should have just stayed and gone to them. But no, I got back. I think I just wanted to take a vacation. So I headed back. But no, I don't think there was really much that we could have done in Tokyo. And it was mainly like I didn't get to have my family and friends there, which I'd love to be able to go back to have them.
Yeah, you got, like, half the Olympic experience. It's not a party and social thing, but that is part of it, right? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're there to compete and you're there to like compete against the best in the world. But yeah, and I was so thankful it happened given everything that was going on at the time. But yeah, I just want to go back. I want another experience and I want to try to do better than before. I think I was 10th in Tokyo, so I'd like to be higher than that.
and we have a bunch of family and friends in Orlando.
Yeah, yeah. My parents are coming out. Shane's parents are actually flying in from Ireland today, and then I've got a few friends and one of my sisters. So have a whole support team.
I guess the first marathon trials, it's the only marathon that didn't go well for you, but, it's a hilly course, which only you've done very well in your flat marathons. What do you think happened in Atlanta?
Yeah, enough time's passed now. I feel like we've started piecing that together a bit better. I do like. I don't think Ray was wrong. I think like that was probably too hilly of a course for me to excel on. But I run well. Like I've run well on hilly like half marathon courses and hilly 10Ks. And I do seem to do the best when it's like hills and then a stretch of flat road and then hills. And I can even feel in a race my body recharging on the flats. But I think I might have just been a little too, I think I went too hard in the buildup. Like I think my body, when I was standing on the start line, like I think I was tired. and and I just didn't realize it at the time because I was so new to the marathon. I thought it was just so normal to be tired. But there were things afterwards that I looked back on, and there were signs that maybe I'd pushed it too hard in training. So we did try to focus this time on like getting good training in, getting in a good buildup, but just not overdoing it. Doing it. I don't want to leave my race in training. So yeah, I do want to do hilly marathons in the future. I've tried doing New York twice now, so hopefully third time's a charm with that. But yeah, I'd like to experience more marathons.
Paris has got a big hill in it, so hopefully you'll have that one coming up. And one final question, I'm asking people, what shoes have you been training in? What shoes are you racing in?
I train in the New Balance 880s and I race in the New Balance Pacer.
And do they have like a special prototype for you, or are you just sort of in the standard one?
They're actually coming out with a new version this year in 2024 that I had a lot of input in. And And I think actually people are going to like it if you find the current, why am I blanking on the term? Like super shoes. If you think the stack height might be a little too high, it's like a lower stack height. And that's what I prefer. I prefer like shoes with, with that lower stack height. So I think if you want something more like that, it could be a really good option. And that's what I had a lot of input in.
So are you wearing the new one on Saturday?
I thought about it. They did send me a pair, but they sent it to me. It was like borderline a little too close for me to try it out and like get enough like workouts in it. But I did try it out for strides, and I liked how it felt. So I'm going to try working out in it and maybe do a race in it later this year.
Yeah, you don't need to mess with anything. You're the favorite for a reason. One of these underdogs can try some new shoe the day of the race, but
it just seems like shoes are just ever changing, and we're always getting new ones. So there's a balance between, trying things out, getting enough time to get used to them and see what you think, or just like trying them on and going and racing in them. So, but yeah, I like the shoe that I have. So yeah.
All right, great. Well, thank you. We appreciate it. We love the Grand Slam trials. We're very excited. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah. Thanks for covering it.